years from. I am almost ready to take depositions, and I'd really like you involved.
That's beautiful.
Here on Barbara.
The internet is full of unusual stories. For Reddit users browsing the r/strange subreddit, stories such as these are a dime a dozen. But in July of this year, what some users stumbled across wasn't just strange, it was downright bizarre. Pretty sure I just saw her in Notting Hill. I know this is insane, can't be 100% sure, but I think I saw that Pearl girl people were talking about just about 2 days ago. There was a guy following her discreetly, not in a scary way, more like confused. This post, left by a user named Natural Watercress 87, sheds light on a terrifying phenomenon happening across the internet. The woman in which Watercress is referring to goes by the name Pearl, but the fact of the matter was, nobody in the thread could even prove that this woman existed in the first place. Prior to Watercress making this post, a number of people across the internet claimed to have developed an unhealthy fixation with Pearl, a woman they had never met. I followed a woman through London more times than I'm willing to admit, and I think I've gone too far. This cryptic post, made to r/confessions earlier this year, is believed to be the very first piece of what would become an elaborate puzzle. The user behind this post is Present Evening 8787, a Reddit account that, upon looking into, has since been banned. The reason for this, as I would later find out, was very disturbing. But in present time, all that's left behind are passing mentions of the Present Evening 8787 account. As I sat staring at these two posts, something clicked in my head. The post left by Present Evening 8787 signifies the start of this story. The post from Watercress lies somewhere towards the end. In other words, we begin with a man's unhealthy fixation before it becomes something much darker. At some point, it became more than a mental fixation. He was physically following this woman, Pearl, around in the street. But how did it get to this point? With the help of the Wayback Machine, I was able to get a better look at what was going on in the mind of Present Evening 8787, a very disturbed individual.
So normally this section of the video would be dedicated to the ad or the sponsorship of the video. But instead, I wanted to take the time to thank all of the crazy amount of patrons supporting the Something Sinister Patreon. When I started the Something Sinister Patreon, I was really skeptic that it was going to be anywhere successful, I guess, whatsoever. But not knowing what to expect and sort of, I guess, swinging in the dark, so to speak, I decided to do it. And thankfully, all of these wonderful people on screen right now decided to give me a chance. So to all of you, I thank you so much. And if you are not a part of the Something Sinister Patreon and are interested in joining this list of people, the link will be down in the description below. You get a bunch of awesome perks like ad-free, uncensored content, all for $5 a month. And not only that, but shout out to our patron Callie for starting the first ever and only Something Sinister Discord. It's a really fun place, and if you're interested in sort of, I guess, talking with other people who watch this sort of content, be sure to check it out. As always, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video and watching and subscribing. I feel so truly blessed to have all of you here, and I guess on with the video, and stay safe out there.
Strange stories like this are always difficult to evaluate. This one in particular seems like the entryway into yet another ARG. But if it's true, whoever this Pearl woman is in potential danger. This concept of multiple people fixating over one particular individual is eerily similar to something you've probably heard of before. In 2008, a website was created called Ever Dream This Man. The website offered various stories from individuals across the world who had all claimed to have seen the same man in their dreams. The photograph accompanying the website shows a sketch of a man who is rather unsettling to look at. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what makes this sketch so strange. There's a level of uncanny valley to it. The symmetry of the man's face is odd. But following the launch of the website, many people across the internet also started claiming to have seen this man in their dreams before. It was a widespread phenomenon. But as it would later be revealed, this man and the Ever Dream This Man website was all a hoax created by a sociologist and marketer. So, as I sifted through the various posts left behind by internet users, all claiming to have seen a woman named Pearl in their day-to-day lives, something felt immediately off. It's best we start at the beginning. Present Evening's first post to Reddit reads, "There's a woman who lives in my mind like a watermark. I go to book a client call and I'm wondering if she does her brand consulting from that spot near the old Queen's Park Library. What the hell is wrong with me?" The next post left by Present Evening reads, "Saw her at a private launch 2 nights ago. A director kissed her cheek like they knew each other well. The PR girl next to me whispered, 'That's Pearl.' Nothing else, just 'That's Pearl,' as if it answered everything." These type of posts continue for a while, the user hopelessly obsessed with a woman they've never spoken to before. The language in which Present uses is a bit melodramatic to say the least. They often talk about the smell of Pearl's perfume and the way her hair hits the light. Aside from the r/confession subreddit, Present also frequents r/obsessive-love, r/off-my-chest, and r/London. But it wouldn't take long for these posts from Present to take a rather dark turn. Until this point, Present has only romanticized Pearl from afar. But this would quickly change as Present's Reddit posts began to make it seem as if he were getting closer and closer to her. In the back of my mind, I remember the post left behind by Watercress, someone who saw a man following Pearl on the street. By this point, there were a few concrete details based on the aforementioned posts. The first is that Present Evening 8787 is deeply obsessed with a woman named Pearl who he has never directly met before. According to his posts, he saw her from afar in public and instantly felt connected to her. The second is the setting in which these events take place. In the post from Watercress, they drop the location of Notting Hill, which is a neighborhood located in London. So we have what could potentially be a stalker pursuing a woman in a London setting. But this game of cat and mouse wouldn't last long between the two, as Present Evening would soon come face to face with Pearl. She had music on so loud I could almost hear it. London was gray today, not a dramatic gray, just tired. The kind where the sky feels like background noise. I was heading to a meeting in Kensington. Nothing fancy, just coffee with a client. But she passed by, right in front of my place. She had this teal wrap top on, jeans and gold trainers, hair braided like something straight out of a Fashion Week archive, but somehow not trying too hard. She had a black leather tote and a single diamond necklace. Her music was blasting through her headphones, like she needed it loud enough to push the world away. To the shock and horror of many users reading the post, the following photograph was attached at the bottom of the text, simply labeled her. The photograph shows a young woman, just as Present described in their post. The concerning posts from Present would continue following this interaction with Pearl. In fact, it was almost as if it was getting worse. Present was getting desperate. And in this period of desperation, he made a big mistake. Following these words, Present disclosed Pearl's full name. Out of respect for Pearl, I'm not going to show her full name anywhere in this video. But for the sake of this mystery, I had to know if she was a real person. And if so, I had to tell her that she might be in danger. Up until this point, all the evidence that we had to prove Pearl was a real person was a single photograph. As I typed in Pearl's full name into the search bar, I was shocked by what I found. Pearl was in fact a real person. Not just a real person, but the person in the photograph attached to Present Evening's Reddit post. It all matched up. When searching her name, I found her social media accounts, her LinkedIn, and yet another person utterly obsessed with her. The following blog belongs to Ben W., a London-based man who, as he puts it, is just observing for now. His posts are usual enough at first, him visiting a cemetery, cafes, parks, even complaining about the weather. But that changes after he sees a girl who he can't seem to get out of his head. His blog soon becomes a log of sightings. Each time Ben sees this girl, he writes down the date before giving an exhaustive reports of the details around the sighting. Details that are almost like a predator breaking down its prey. It wouldn't be until August 11th that Ben dropped the name of the woman he's been writing about. To my surprise, as I kept scrolling through Ben's posts, I found the following strange photograph. We can only see the lower half of this woman. Ben has purposefully cropped out her face as to give her privacy. But given the photo posted to Reddit by Present Evening 8787, as well as cross-references we can make from Pearl's social media accounts, the woman in this photo is undoubtedly the Pearl in question. By this point, I made somewhat of the reluctant decision to reach out to Pearl directly through one of her social media pages. I knew there were two possibilities. Either she was already aware of the situation, or I was going to look like some kind of freak. Regardless, I figured she deserved to know what was going on. I typed out a basic message before hitting send. I sat there for a moment, questioning my decision. But it didn't last long. I still had a number of search results to go through. One of these led me to a concerning Tumblr page by the name of Blurlog, a page that routinely uses a hashtag containing Pearl's full name. To say Blurlog's page appears normal from the get-go is simply not true. The top of their page reads, "She's real. This is where I save what's left. Screenshots, voice notes, traces. If you've seen her, send less, not more." After scrolling for a while, one thing becomes clear. While Ben and Present Evening's pages were concerning, they had nothing on Blurlog. This individual had over 3 times the posts that the others did, each similar to what we've seen already, an individual deeply obsessed with a stranger. But as I got closer to the bottom of Blurlog's page, I stumbled across something strange. September 1st of this year. Ben's blog is my drug dealer. I'm sick of paying insanity. Ben posted, 2 hours ago. I might have gotten too close. I'll write what happened. I've refreshed my feed like 300 times. Too close. What does that even mean? Did she look at him? The thought makes me sick. I shouldn't care this much, but I do. I'll sleep it off. I'll see what he posts in the morning. From these posts, we know that Blurlog is aware of Ben's existence, that there is someone else in his neighborhood who is also fixated on Pearl. As weird as it sounds, this sort of makes sense. If there are now at least 3 individuals all obsessed with one woman, all living in the same place, the likelihood that they've seen one another is relatively high. But when Blurlog realizes this, that another individual was getting too close to a woman that they were obsessed with, it caused them to do something really bad. This photograph, taken by Blurlog on November 10th, shows the backside of a woman. It's dark, nighttime. It appears as though it was taken without her knowing. Blurlog, compelled to beat Ben in the race to Pearl's heart, has begun following her up close while on the streets of Notting Hill. Blurlog would go on to continue expressing frustration regarding the idea that another person could be so infatuated with Pearl. Unfortunately, this is where Blurlog's trail ends. As of making this video, this final haunting photograph is all we have to go off of, and it makes the imagination turn sour. What happened following this photograph? Did Blurlog introduce themselves, or did Pearl realize that she was being followed? The answer to these questions would not be found here. They were hidden elsewhere. And as I sat waiting for a response from Pearl, I began to put together the pieces of this elaborate story. 3 accounts run by people obsessed with one woman. Present Evening 8787, a Reddit user who began posting in July of this year. Ben, a blogger who started posting in May. And Blurlog, a Tumblr user who started posting in July. A majority of the posts from these 3 users center around a Notting Hill woman named Pearl. Ben has spoken to her in passing, whereas the other 2, Present and Blurlog, have only physically seen her. Blurlog showing evidence of this in one of their final posts. We know that Blurlog is aware of Ben and his blog. Blurlog often sharing his frustration that Ben has been able to get so close to Pearl. At first, I was uncertain if Present was aware of the other 2 users, or that he was not the only one infatuated with Pearl. But then I found something that made my hair stand on end. After scrolling through Blurlog's seemingly never-ending posts, I reached the bottom. Their first post, made in July of this year, reads, Reddit nuked it, but I saved a few. I wasn't planning to post this year, but the Reddit guy's account is gone. He was linking these weird Medium essays about a girl he kept seeing. It read like fiction, but not like a story. I saved 2 screenshots before it disappeared. Not really sure why. If anyone else was following this, let me know. Based on this post, it seems like Present Evening 8787 and Ben W are the same person. When looking back at the archives of Present's Reddit account from the Wayback Machine, some of them share a striking resemblance to that of Ben's blog. Some of the timeline of events are even the same. Both were asked to take a photograph of her while in the street. Both write obsessively about Pearl and her appearance, her outfits and makeup. As individuals on the platform began reading more of Present's posts, they flagged the account for violation of various guidelines. As a result, the Present Evening account was banned. But Ben continued posting about Pearl on his personal blog. But this doesn't answer the following questions. How does Blurlog know Ben? And why do they share the same obsession? The greater picture came to me a day after I sent my message to Pearl. As I sat down and logged on, I scrolled through my notifications, looking to see if she responded to my comment. To my surprise, there was nothing. I clicked on the particular post where I had left the comment and navigated to the comment section, only to find nothing. Pearl either ignored or hadn't seen my comment. This mystery, while not mainstream by any account, has been investigated by others. As I looked through Pearl's search results, I found that I was not the first to reach out and notify Pearl of these supposed stalker accounts. Hey, you're super pretty, but I don't know if you know that there is a whole Tumblr page called Blurlog that's dedicated to essentially documenting them stalking you. I really hope you stay safe. Pearl replies with the following. I have nothing to do with being stalked. I have way too many things to juggle as is. I'm booked up time-wise. I've done what I can. I'm just trying to live life and ignore it, okay? I'm not trying to be paranoid. So, just like that, Pearl denies any involvement with the stalker accounts. And as users go on to inform her more about the issue and make sure she's staying safe, I can't seem to get one particular detail off my mind. I'm inclined to think that Ben is also running the Blurlog Tumblr page. It's the only thing that makes sense. The writing, the vocabulary, and style all remain consistent across the Present Evening Reddit, Ben's blog, and the Blurlog Tumblr account. Events spoken about by Ben are echoed by Blurlog and vice versa. But that still doesn't answer the question. Who is this man, and does he pose an actual threat to Pearl? Sometimes when solving a mystery, I tend to overlook certain details. I bring this up because I think the answer to our questions lies where we began. Everything leads back to this original post from Natural Watercress, someone seemingly completely unaffiliated with Pearl and the accounts, someone who saw Pearl being followed by a strange man. But at the time, I neglected to consider who exactly this Watercress individual was in the first place. I had just assumed that they were a casual Reddit user who just so happened to stumble across Present Evening's threads and then became invested in the story. But I was wrong. Natural Watercress 87 isn't just a Redditor invested in Pearl's story. He's an individual living in London who also shares an unhealthy obsession with Pearl. All of Watercress's posts from the very beginning until now are centered around Pearl. And he just so happened to see her in Notting Hill on multiple occasions, including one where he saw her being followed. Something isn't right. I wouldn't go as far as to say that Ben, who I believe was responsible for the Reddit, Medium blog, and Tumblr account, is also the author behind Natural Watercress 87, because the writing style is quite different. But I don't think it's a coincidence, however, that most of the posts made to Reddit by Watercress read more or less the same, and serve a singular purpose: generating attention to Pearl's story. Whether it be posts like this to r/strange, or ones like this to r/advice and Ask Reddit, one thing is for certain. Watercress is more active in this situation than we originally thought. They're not just an innocent bystander, concerned by what is happening before them. They're serving a greater purpose, one that I believe traces directly back to Pearl herself. Pearl's socials read like any other. She likes to take pictures of herself, her food, and candids from adventures she's gone on. But underneath the surface, there's something darker. There are 2 pinned posts on Pearl's Instagram. The caption on the first reads, "You're cute, want in on a little secret?" The second post reads, "And all the girls wished they'd be Ben's partner." I had stumbled across theories while doing my research on Pearl that stated that she was behind everything. Despite this, I decided to keep moving forward, thinking to myself that it was strange that anyone would fake being stalked as a means of getting attention and followers on social media. But after all, this is the internet, and maybe I give people too much credit. As others have also pointed out, when looking at Pearl's LinkedIn account, she apparently works in marketing, the same field that the individual behind the "this man" phenomenon was a part of. An odd but kind of ironic detail. So could this entire situation be some type of marketing project for Pearl, and the product all along was herself? The answer is we don't know. I tried to get Pearl to speak with me on the matter, to give us all some more context as to what her exact role was in this situation. But unsurprisingly, I never received a reply. I could be wrong, but I have a hard time believing that this would be the genuine response left behind someone who is actually being targeted by men in her area. Why not publicly address it to ease people's concerns? The answer, I believe, is because it was never real in the first place. Regardless, this entire mystery, fake or not, was very interesting. If this was in fact a marketing stunt orchestrated by Pearl, I question the ethics of using stalkers as a means of gaining followers. If this situation is somehow real and Pearl is actually in danger, I hope the messages sent to her by myself, as well as others, don't fall on deaf ears. After all, the world is a very scary place. Let's all look out for one another.